Okay, cool. So yeah, my
So
name is
yeah.
Emily, and yeah, I go to Rutgers University in Newark, and I'm studying to be an English major right now. It doesn't seem that big of like a big deal. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Hold on, I'll just end this call right here. But it doesn't seem like a big deal right now. Like I feel like a lot of people don't see English as like a big deal, and a lot of people don't like English. They're like, "Why are you doing
Yeah,
English? Like all you do is read and write." You know what I mean?
it's the
But
same
personally,
here. Yeah.
but personally, I love like reading and writing, and I don't really know what I want to do in life yet. And
Hmm.
so I feel like a lot of people are pressured to kind of figure out who they are now. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like I don't really like that pressure on me. Like that's not me. You know what I mean? Like to have all this pressure, especially because like I actually like suffer through like with an anxiety disorder. So it's actually
Mhm.
like it's very common for me to freak out about anything. And so I feel like, you know what, if I just do English, I can just do what I like for now and then figure it out like as life goes on. So
And
that's what I'm doing now, like education wise.
mhm.
And
So how did
um
you like come to know about meditation, yoga? How did you learn?
so yeah, so that I started yoga around last April, basically when quarantine started, because like I was a senior in high school during the time,
Hmm.
and like I never got to complete like my end of the year things, like all the activities, like prom and like senior week and all like the fun stuff. And I feel like I was really excited about that. So that was a major big breakdown for me because I've also had like a lot of family issues during the time. And so
Hmm.
I didn't know how else to kind of cope with that. So I felt like, oh my God, like, okay, I have all these issues right now, but if I go through like school, it'll be really fun. And then like that'll be it. But then, COVID happened and then we had to all like kind of quarantine and stay home. So I was thinking like, I always wanted to start yoga just because I in the beginning like my intention was just to like get flexible and like be like all athletic and everything. But then like as I realized that yoga comes with like its own like ancient philosophy,
Yeah, yeah.
and like and it has like this whole other meaning. Like it's not even just like the practice, like the physical practice is just like a bonus, but in reality a lot of people can complete like the yogic mentality like without doing any like yoga practice, without doing any like
Hmm.
physical things. And so I started with yoga, and it started to it started to like really like I started to see like growth happening throughout yoga. Like I started realizing that like yeah, like physical the physical state is a bonus, but it could also help through the mental state. So like if
Yeah.
I work out in yoga and I'm able to kind of like stretch through these postures and like let go of how I'm feeling with like all the tension inside of me, then whenever I face an actual situation in real life, I'm able to also let it go and like be more relaxed with it. So it definitely like eased my anxiety and everything. And then the meditation came like way after, because I remember I tried meditating a year ago throughout like the winter, and I like did
Hmm.
not see anything. I did not get the point of it. I was just sitting down, not even thinking. So I was like, okay, what am I doing? But then like through yoga was when I realized that like, breathing and doing meditation through yoga was kind of just the point of being present. I feel like a lot of people don't understand like the importance of being here. Like we're always thinking about like what's the next thing
Yeah.
or like what we did before, but we're never like fully like here, realizing that you're kind of just sitting down and breathing, or you're just eating, or you're just watching TV. Like no one ever really thinks about that. And so I realized that through yoga, and that's when I was like, you know what, let me try meditating and see where that gets me. And that definitely helped me with like also my patience, because like it's like yes, like like to be present is to like have a still mind, not think about anything, but that's also really hard because we're all human. And so we all also end up thinking about other things while we're sitting down with our eyes closed. We think about, I don't know, like any like what we did yesterday or what we just did this
Yeah, there
morning,
are
or like
a
what
lot of
we're worried
thoughts coming
about.
in and out. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. It's all like human, it's all normal. So like the point is to kind of just accept that and then bring yourself back into the present. And that's what helps yourself to become more like present within yourself. And so I feel like that definitely is a big part of meditation. Like a lot of people expect like perfection within meditating. Like, okay, I'm not going to think about anything
Initially,
right now.
yeah, it takes time. But I've seen many people who start in the beginning do it for the physical appearance, for the physical health reasons, rather than the more spiritual and mental health. But slowly and steadily, they realize that what is the importance of yoga and meditation in a more spiritual and a more psychological manner. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they come like hand in hand. Like I feel like a lot of people like it also I feel like that also reminds me of like when I did yoga, like I wanted to do that because I wanted to like be healthy physically. Like I want to make sure like, like I'm not like gonna get any like disease or diabetes or whatever.
Yeah.
But then like when you think about it, like that also comes through like with the mental health. Like your physical body can't really go that far unless you're able to kind of strive through your mentality, you know what I mean? Like I feel like the mind is way stronger than the body at times. And if we kind of let that happen, then it ends up overtaking us. And so we have to be able to kind of let our like own soul like do what it does as we move or as we stay still. And then you can kind of see how like your own self like unravels through
Yeah.
just like not doing anything or just being present. You know what I
Anyway,
mean?
the major problems for people are mental compared to physical. Like physical illness can be overcome through medicines and surgery or anything, but emotional problems or emotional healing is far more important comparatively.
I
So
feel like with the emotions, like it all comes like from ego. Like I
yeah,
don't know if you've
ego
ever
and
like talked
attachment. Yeah.
with ego, yeah, like ego versus like soul and stuff, or like, in
Mhm.
reality, like we are our soul, but we as like we go through life, we end up holding so much ego. Like whenever we feel like upset or like angry or just any negative feeling, it can come from like our ego at like most times because we feel like things are very personal towards us. Like if I'm arguing with somebody, I'm going to take things personally if they yell at me, not even thinking that maybe they're just also angry and they're also dealing with
Yeah.
their own
They might
things.
have their own insecurities which they are trying to
Exactly.
direct. Yeah, yeah.
Because everything's like
And
kind
that's
of
the case most
projected.
of the time. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like a self-reflection thing. It's like if I'm also angry at somebody else, maybe I'm just angry at myself. And so I feel like a lot of people kind of like need to have like that ego death where they kind of just like surrender and just let go. It sounds easier than it is because in
Yeah, of
reality, like
course
I
it's.
felt like I've also had to deal with that before. Like I've had major like OCD with like, and I wasn't even aware of it. Like I would do yoga and I would replay my yoga video if I missed like a second of it. Like if I missed a
Oh,
second of the video of pose, I'd be
that's
like, no, I
really
have to do this
frustrating. Yeah,
pose.
yeah.
So I could be perfect. And so it was all
Mm.
like this buildup of like what is perfect and like me being like a whole perfectionist of like doing everything right. And with that, it reflected like how I had relationships with people. Like whenever like we had something wrong, I wanted to like be able to fix it so that it can be perfect relationship when like that doesn't exist, you know what I mean? I have to like let go and let like the relationship just run its course. And so I feel like a lot of people don't even like aren't even aware that they are doing these things to try to strive to be like perfect or like this one big like happy human being when like in reality I think like to be like genuinely like happy and accepting yourself, you have to actually accept like the down parts of yourself too, like the bad parts, and
Yeah,
just like
and
let
that
it
is the main purpose of yoga and meditation, to be aware of the present, that the
go.
present self that you are compared to what is going to happen in the future, or maybe all the past, all the past things. Remembering those is not going to help. It's just to be in the present and be aware of what it is right now. So that's, I
Yeah.
think, the main purpose of yoga and meditation. But where did you learn this yoga and meditation?
um Okay, shout out to Yoga with Adrienne. She definitely helped me. She's like a YouTuber and she like does
Mm.
yoga like a lot. And she's doing like this whole new challenge this month called Breathe. And so she was a very big helper. She was the first person I'd watch with like yoga. But then like as that evolved into like my whole like interest in like ego versus soul and all this internal like spirituality, like that, it was mostly like me just observing myself. Like it
Mm.
wasn't until I was being more aware of my own actions and like what my own ego was. It wasn't until that where I was able to kind of see that play out like everywhere. It was kind of like who you are like ends up being like a magnet towards everything else. Like you attract what you are. And so I feel like it wasn't I like okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting messed up. It wasn't
It's
until
fine, it's fine.
I was starting to like see my own faults and accepting who I was. It wasn't until that where I was able to see like like a random like random people like coming up to me and like being friends with me and like telling me their own things that they've had to deal with and like how they were able to strive through that. And so it made me think like, oh my God, I'm meeting more people that are like into the same interests as I was. And that's what helped me make me grow into like liking more about like spirituality. Because I feel like a lot of people think spirituality is like also this perfection, like you're like your ego doesn't exist. When like since we're all human, we all
That's the
hold that
ultimate
ego.
state, but initially, of course, it's a long procedure to reach that state where the entire ego is not non-existent, but it's a very the final stage. Yeah,
The final state, yeah. Like I don't know, like with the chakras, I know that there is like, like basically seven because I know there
yeah,
are more, but then like through the general terms there are seven. And I remember them saying that the crown chakra is your highest state and that is almost like impossible to reach
yeah.
because that is like when everything in like when you're basically like perfectly balanced, which
Hmm.
is also it just seems impossible because like you're almost never balanced in a sense. But then it gives people the question like why would I try if I'm never going to be balanced? You know what I mean? Like if I'm always striving to be balanced but I'm never going to be balanced, then what's the point? I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
a
a lot of people have
paradox
that
that
question.
the more I try to
Exactly.
be happy, the more miserable I become. Yeah, something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
But I
so I
think
feel like
yoga and meditation mainly the main purpose, of course, is awareness. But I think the right perception towards it, the right mindset, can help one achieve the ultimate goal. Uh,
the ultimate goal,
yeah, uh,
I
to
think
have the
that is
right perception towards life. Like for example, you said that okay, someone just curses on us, but maybe the reason is that they might be having their own insecurities or frustration. They are trying to direct it towards us.
mhm.
So
Yeah, I think that's true. I feel like it's like an everyday healing thing.
yeah,
Like I feel like that also comes with like
I think the
self-love.
everyday life becomes more easier once we start having the right perception towards life,
It does become easier.
because the
But then
pain
it
and pleasure both are going to be existent.
mhm.
Even when we are old,
Exactly.
even when we are young, it is always going to be there, pain and pleasure. But I think the right perception, right mindset can help person to not be sad, just be happy even during painful times. Like just be neutral.
Exactly, yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like this definitely takes like an everyday thing because it's so hard. Like I feel like the hard part isn't the aftermath of it. Like once you're able to let go, it does get easier each day to overcome that. But then like the like resistance you have towards the ability to let go, like that itself is the hard thing. Like choosing to let go, choosing to like make that decision because that's like the problem that everyone has. That's like once you do that, then you're basically set for like ever basically. But like a lot of people choose not to do that because of how hard that is.
Hmm.
So it's also kind of like how are they able to overcome that? And that's when I came up with like the ego death because a lot of times like it ends up happening through like a whole breakdown where you're just like crying and you're like literally just like, you know what I mean? Like it's just so overwhelming that all you could do is just kind of like burst out once
It
like because
happens.
there's that because then you realize that like everything's out of your control. You know what I mean? You're only in control of yourself, of what you do.
But that's the
But like a lot
ego
of
that we think that we are in control of everything, but nothing is
exactly.
in our control except for our
Hmm.
own stuff, like
Hmm.
own thoughts and
When in
own.
reality,
Yeah.
like we're only in control of us, but we're not in control of anything else. Like
Yes,
no one
yes.
else, not anything else, a
But the
time.
very ego of us thinking of that we can control things or we are the
Hmm.
reason things are happening, that ego leads to misery. Like that is the main issue, and
Exactly.
that should be let go. It's fine that everything
Hmm.
goes on automatically, and it's not us who are doing it. We are just the witness of the things that are happening. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I feel like yoga definitely helps that, especially like with like certain yoga instructors that are like able to talk you through the postures. Like a lot of like you see yoga videos like they're just doing like yoga like physically, but
Yeah,
like only
for health reasons. Yeah.
mhm. But like only certain of them are able to like talk you through it of like, like throughout yoga, it's kind of like meditating, it's like moving meditation. And
Hmm.
so as you're like moving, you're still kind of thinking about other things. And then they remind you like, it's okay to think about other things, but remember that you're here and that you need to like go back to like breathing and go back to being in the now. And so I feel like that definitely helps with like people like having that hard resistance to like change and everything. Like if they're able to practice through yoga, then like they're able to practice through anything.
So
But it doesn't
what are
have
the techniques that you use for meditation yoga? The breathing thing, to be aware of the
to.
breathing.
Yes. So there are like many different techniques. I think like I had like a therapist that taught me one where it was called the 478 yogic breathing. And it's basically when you breathe in for 4 seconds and then hold it in for 7 seconds and exhale for 8 seconds. And
Hmm.
so it seems kind of like hard in the beginning because a lot of people like don't usually use their breath a lot. And so they kind of use like shallow breathing where they're just like breathing really fast and short. So when you
Hmm.
try, it seems very hard. But like once you like continuously do it, you realize that you kind of like still your mind and all you're doing is focusing on your breath. And that is being present, just focusing on the breath. And so I feel like that is definitely one thing that people could start off with like yogic breathing for meditation. And then another thing they could do is alternate nostril breathing, which is like they take the thumb and the ring finger
Yeah,
and they place their thumb on the right nostril and then they
yeah.
inhale through the left
Yeah,
and then
it's
they
called
take.
as Anulom Vilom
Exactly, yes.
in
I,
Sanskrit.
I need to learn like the exact names because
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I know like I know the English terms, but I'm trying to remember the exact names. But
Hmm.
yeah, and then they take the okay, not the middle finger, but the ring finger onto the left
Yeah.
nostril, and then they exhale, and then they repeat it on both sides, and so it kind of helps with like balancing the mind through the right and left side. And
Hmm.
so I feel like those definitely helped me through like meditating, but at the same time like sometimes yoga is like a lot like physically where like it's like an actual workout where I'll be like sweating and drained, and so I'll just do like shavasana where I'll just lay down on the floor for like 10 minutes not doing anything. Like I'll just
Yeah.
lay down, close my eyes and just breathe, because sometimes that's the most you can do at the time and that's like okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially like yoga is not about just doing all the activities as fast or anything. It's about calming down. So
Mm-hmm.
shavasana and all these things help a lot. But initially, I think for the beginners, the biggest problem is first thing is falling asleep during meditation. Uh,
Falling asleep.
yeah. And second thing is the restless mind. Like it's a chaotic mind. So people
Mm-hmm.
usually get scared and then they stop doing it because like it's scary. The thoughts, especially for someone who has never uh, thought about himself. It's
Mm-hmm.
really crazy once he
Yeah,
initially.
exactly. Like I literally, my sister just started getting into meditation, but
Mm.
like before she was very like impatient about it because of all of these chaotic thoughts. And she would tell me that whenever she did it, like she would start to cry because it would be really
Yeah,
intense,
initially,
just
yeah, yeah.
sit down doing nothing. But like in reality, you're like, all of these thoughts are like crowded in your head because that's how it is all the time. You know what I mean? You never really take a break from that. And so it's so hard. But with me it was definitely like patience. Like I remember I tried using I don't know if you ever heard of it, like Headspace. It's like
Mhm.
this certain app. It's
Yeah, yeah,
famous
yeah.
too. But I tried using it for like 5 minutes and honestly like I didn't see anything with it. But I think it was because I wasn't putting that effort in. Like it wasn't the app, but it was me. Because I also have to put that effort in order to meditate. You know what I mean? Like meditation is focus and that's kind of like an active thing. It's not like you're not doing anything. Like you are trying to focus into being present.
And I feel like people who use, like, for example, music or anything, it just doesn't help a lot because you are still external. Like you are hearing a music and you are trying to concentrate on the music rather than being more internal. So I think the best way is to just have nothing around, completely silent,
Yeah. I
and
think
just
that's
be in your own
definitely.
self. Be aware of the thoughts that are coming in and out, and
Mhm.
be aware of things rather than just listening to a music or doing some activity. Even listening or chanting or anything is doing an activity. So I feel like rather just becoming more silent is far more greater. But initially it
Yeah,
might be difficult, but as the time goes on.
I agree. Like I think like definitely that is a very like these activities are like therapeutic. And so
Mm.
I have done like a lot of these things to kind of calm myself down, but in the end it wasn't the same
It's just a
as me like
temporary,
sitting
yeah, yeah, yeah.
still and like facing these demons that I have
Mm.
inside, you know what I mean? It's like kind of like it's like a lot of people confuse like doing writing or listening to music to like avoiding their own problems. Like they
Yeah.
end up kind of avoiding it rather than facing it. Like this is like a healthy thing to do, but you also have to remember that like self-reflection is important to kind of grow out of these like traumatic experiences.
It's like a very simple example. I used to be scared of water. So I learned swimming in the water
Mm-hmm.
so that I can not be scared of water. So if you are
Mm-hmm.
scared of water, just jump in the water and try to learn swimming. So that's how I feel like one should face his fears or anxieties. Just to think about it, just to be aware about it and face it. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I feel. Because
Exactly.
not facing it will just not get rid of it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, a lot of like, I feel like my like experiences had a lot to do with like family wise, like with my own mother and with my own sister. Like, there have been a lot of toxicity within the relationships. And it's because like a lot of that comes from like us not having boundaries. Like, I
Hmm.
feel like as like through like you're able to be more aware of your own self, you realize that like you need boundaries in order to like self love yourself, like to and to it's like how they say like, oh my god, like everything's like unconditional love. It's like you're able to give that unconditional love as long
But
as you're
you
able
are
to
not going
give
to
that.
receive. Yeah, yeah. It's not necessary that we are going to receive that same amount of
Mm-hmm.
unconditional love that we have or compassion we have for others. So
Exactly.
when it comes to relationships with people, I feel like it's more to become selfless, like to have no expectations, because
Exactly. Yes,
it's not
exactly.
necessary that the other person might be the same, might have the same feelings, or might be
Mm-hmm.
as good a person as we expect them to be. So
Everyone like seeks like this validation from other people, and it's like
yeah,
that's
and
not okay
that's
because
again ego. That's again ego.
exactly,
Yeah.
because like real love doesn't do that, you know what I mean? And so I feel like this all becomes like a toxic relationship when that happens, and they have
Mhm.
to realize that there are boundaries to like how far you can love versus what you think love is. Because a lot of people think like because like they want validation, they want attention, they think love is that. Like love is me gaining attention and validation,
It's
but
just
it's not.
attachment and ego. Yeah.
Exactly. And so like when they're able to let that go, then they're able to see that they can give themselves that love in order, and then with that they're able to give other people more love. You know what I mean? It comes from like them giving it to themselves first in order to spread it out. Like you can't give other people love without loving yourself, because then it ends up having to do with expectations and with validation. Like you're going to expect something in return. You know what I mean? Unless you're able to give yourself that love first. And so I feel like that's very important. And so that's kind of like the big thing that I also needed to realize. Like I need to give myself that love and time in order for me to give them more of what I have, to spread that like good energy around. And then so that's also another reason why I started doing yoga, because I need like more time to myself. Like I felt like that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think even for me, for example, when I used to be a teenager, I think the self love thing was always missing. I used to hate myself for not being the great person I wanted to be, or to become perfect in life like others were. So I think self love was something that is really important, which I realized later in life, and it helped
Mhm.
a lot, because of not having the self love, you start having social anxieties and inferior
Mhm.
complex, all these things, and which
Exactly.
just ruins you. Like, so I think loving your own self, and whatever you are, good, bad, yeah, okay, there are possibilities of having both the things. Like, it's not always white and black. It's people are gray, but I think
Exactly.
it's really important to just love yourself. That whoever you are trying to become a better
Mhm.
person in the future as much as possible. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
I agree, because I feel like if you're able to see your flaws and accept them, then you're able to look at someone else's flaws and accept that as well. You know what I mean? Like
yes, yeah.
accept the fact that they're not perfect too, and
Hmm.
that in the end we're both trying our best in this
Yeah, and it
relationship.
will
And
just
so
increase the compassion within us towards
mhm,
others.
exactly.
Yeah,
And so yeah, that's literally like that's like that was like the main thing. And I'm still like kind of going through it now.
of
And so
course,
because
yeah,
these
yeah.
things take
It's a
time,
long journey. Yeah, it's always,
exactly.
but it
So each
helps a lot.
day.
Like, there is a major difference just to having this awareness to about self love, makes things so much more different compared to what I used to be, let's say, 10 years back, and what I am now.
Mhm.
So I think this small things about self love, selflessness, compassion, all these things slowly and steadily builds a person into a much happier inside.
Exactly, yeah. And it's important to like people to start automatically like once they are aware. Like a lot of people
Mm,
are aware of it, but then try to like postpone their own self-love or their own ways of growing. And it's only stalling what you need. You know what I mean? Like you're making yourself stuck when you need to kind of break through from that phase and to start your own like journey with your own self, you know?
yeah.
And so I feel like that's also another problem that like people are like looking at this and they're like, oh, like I know that, but they don't really want to face it yet. And so it's just a lot of like I feel like this world's a lot of like ego around that
Yeah,
like
I
it's
think that
stop.
yeah, ego is a major difference because I've seen many people because I'm aware of my own issues, so I can
Mm-hmm.
see those problems in others. But if you try to explain them or something, it becomes more difficult because people are not going to accept their own issues. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's I think the ego is ruling the world in a negative way because if ego is not there, then world would be much peaceful place because
Mm-hmm.
I think the major fights and conflicts happen because of the ego. Just
Right.
not ego about your own self, but ego about some things or some person or some concept or some religion, and all those things make chaos happen in the world. That's what I
Exactly.
feel. Yeah.
But then I think like the universe probably made it this world to what it is like for some reason because then they're like a lot of people come up with this theory like what if the world was perfect and then they think of like a
Yeah, but that's
utopian.
I don't think it's even possible. We can just imagine, but it's
Exactly.
not possible that the world will
Mm-hmm.
be perfect because there are like what 6 billion people in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and not everyone is going to be perfect. But yeah, but uh, the concept of not having the ego is something which will help the world. At least there should be majority of the people who should be knowing about all these things.
Yeah, I think the concept of like trying to like reduce your ego is definitely helpful because then it's
Yeah.
also like that idea of oh, if I don't have ego, then I'll be perfect, which is like not really the case because in the end, like we're all humans, so we're always gonna have that ego with us. But like the point to like reduce it as much as you can each day to like
Mhm.
help yourself in order to help other people, like that is like the main goal. Like I feel like as humans, like we began as like animals technically, and so we're able. I feel like our main goal, like with like as you see in animals, are to help other animals, like basically to help other people. You know what I mean? Because we all connect in the end.
Mhm.
So we're able to kind of like help each other, but we're not able to do that unless we're aware of our own things that we need to like fix.
Yeah. True, true, true. And what do you think? When and where should one do yoga? Like, can someone just do yoga and meditation anywhere or anytime, or there should be any particular routine or discipline? Like, I think the most difficult thing is to follow routine when it comes to yoga
Yeah,
and
that is
meditation.
definitely one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, even I find it difficult many times to follow a routine to do all
Hmm.
this. Yeah,
I say like for beginners, start with like short, just 5 minutes a
yeah, per
day.
day in the morning.
And like
Probably I
I don't
think
know if like
morning time is much better because the mind is more calm once you have woken up, and the morning
that could
environment
be
is
it.
far more better compared to the night time. That's what
Hmm.
I feel.
I feel like if people could do the morning, then yeah, because I also feel like a lot of like, especially like teenagers, like I know myself, like once I wake up, I'm like on my phone automatically. So
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
also
I think
thinking
it's
like,
the
would
same
I
thing
even
about
meditate
for
in the
everyone. Yeah.
morning? So I feel like anytime that works, or especially like if you're like stressed at your job and you're sitting down or you're in an office or you're literally like in the street and you feel like a lot of like overwhelming emotions, just to like stop what you're doing and breathing is also like meditation. You know what I mean? Like everything's kind of meditation in a sense when you just kind of sit down and try to be present. And so that definitely like helps. Like just taking a walk outside or sitting down like for just 5 minutes, just breathing. And you could keep your eyes open because a lot of people feel like keeping your eyes closed is even more intense because
Yeah.
now you're really in your mind. So I feel like if you keep your eyes open and try to focus on like an object, like that
Hmm.
could also help try to like bring yourself back to the present.
Yeah.
So I feel like 5 minutes a day and just looking at an object definitely helps because I'm just starting to and I'm doing 10 minutes per day, but sometimes
Mhm.
I see like these people who've like really like grown into meditation and they'll do it for like 30 minutes to like an hour and I can't I can't
Yeah,
even do
it's
20 minutes. Like
tough.
that's a lot of work. So I'm just like, I'm also growing into it. So I feel like as a beginner, 5 minutes is definitely enough time.
Yeah, And yeah, I think the routine thing is the most difficult thing, especially for anyone
Mhm.
below 30. Uh, it's very
Yeah.
difficult.
I feel
Yeah.
like they'll find their routine within time because I've definitely like I naturally find a routine, but I'll get bored of it at some point, and that's when I have to like change my routine all over again. And that happens like each month. Like I've realized that like I used to think that I was a problem for like getting tired of my routine, but in reality, like since we're always changing and evolving, we're always going to want to change new things, and that can come with the routine. So it's okay to like change it each day if you like, if that's comfortable for you, or to stick to like a certain time.
Hmm. True, true, true. And always, but the main thing is to have the main focus of yoga and meditation. It's not about keeping your body healthy. It's just a side benefit that we get.
Mhm.
But the main focus should always be about self learning, self improvement. That's,
Mhm.
I
I
think,
agree.
very
I
true.
feel like I feel like the side bonuses don't even like exist unless you're able to put that mental effort in. Like
Yeah.
whenever you keep using your ego, like it's very hard to see the difference in your physical body because like
Mm.
they both work hand in hand. You know what I mean? And so I
Uh,
feel like that.
yeah. And I
What were
think
you
the COVID, yeah, but the COVID in a way helped people because everyone had time. The work had
gonna
been like everyone had time because people were in their home and there was nothing to do. So
mm-hmm.
if for the right mind, if people with the right mindset, I think the COVID helped a lot to just be in yourself, to realize your goals, to realize who you are, all those things, because there was time available. Or else the world
Yeah.
was always running. I mean, people were just working or studying and yeah, doing stuff
I,
outside. Yeah,
I feel like that could have been like really scary too for some other people because like I've also known
it's
how
upon
like
the mindset. For someone, it might be the
Mhm.
most scariest thing to be alone, and for someone, it
Mhm.
might be the best thing to be alone. Like it
Exactly,
transformed their
because a
life.
lot of people have
Mm.
also like developed like depression because they're like
That is,
staying alone and they're doing nothing. Like they're not even choosing to like exercise and stuff. And I'm
mm,
not saying like, that's like, oh my God, like that's a bad thing. Like you should stop like doing these bad habits, but it is hard to kind of like stand up and be like, you know what, I'm gonna try to do something productive today, especially
mm,
when you're battling with your own inner demons like daily at the house alone. And so I feel like this all comes with like time. Like a lot of people have to like go through these things in order to kind of to also grow, you know what I mean, with this
mm,
awareness. And so I feel like there has been like a balance in COVID with like people who have started new things versus people who felt like more stuck with COVID. So yeah.
mm. Yeah, yeah, it's true, it's true. And I think you said about the right time. I think that's true because many times even I feel that whatever I'm doing right now, maybe I might have started it, let's say 15 years back. Things might have been so different. Like I would have been
Mhm.
already in a much I would have been much better person. But maybe
Mhm.
I started a bit late. But still, I think it's just the right timing should be there. Like things happen
Exactly.
automatically. It's not about that how fast I want to do it. It's about
Yeah.
just be
Mhm.
patient and things will happen automatically.
Exactly. I think a lot of like with social media too, like they pressure people to kind of be like grown already by
Yeah,
the
to
time they're like
run
a
fast and
teenager.
yeah, achieve things faster and
Hmm.
faster. Yeah.
When it's kind of like everything is as it should be no matter what. Like even
Hmm.
if you're constantly like feeling like you're going back or you're stuck, like this is all for a reason. Like this is all like the universe trying to tell you something. And so you need to like take it all in no matter what. You know what I mean? Because if you keep focusing on like the past of like, oh, this should have been this, then it's like you're also kind of battling that like that problem of trying to let go of what already is
Hmm. Yeah,
when you can't even go back in the past, like it's already done.
yeah, yeah.
Like the most you could do is try like to help yourself move forward.
Yeah. I think the past anxieties and all make our current state a lot more difficult. If we
Mhm.
can just let go of our past, it becomes far more easier for us to live the
Mhm.
present. And it's really difficult actually.
Yeah, it is very difficult because I feel like I also have to deal with that daily, like of things that I want to do, and then time kind of passes up. And I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? Like my mind the whole time is just stuck on what I should have done versus
Mm,
like I could just gain like what I've already learned, which is maybe like more time management, or maybe like I shouldn't be stressing about things that aren't for me, all these other
yeah.
different solutions in order to be able to move on to the next day with like purpose and more intention. but instead
Mm.
I'm like constantly thinking like what I should have done that day and like differently. And it's like all I'm doing is just kind of going backwards when like I need to just let it go, and be more here, like be more present.
True, true. Anything else you would like to share?
I'm trying to think.
We
Uh,
like we can conclude with what we talked about today. We talked about the purpose of yoga and meditation. We talked about techniques. We talked
yeah.
about letting go of the ego, and
Mm-hmm.
I think
Self
all
love.
these things are so important. Like if you pick any philosophical book or any spiritual book, these are the same things that are written. It's like yoga, meditation, and spirituality. All this come hand in hand. Like they are
Hmm.
simultaneously. At the end, they are all the similar things reaching
Exactly.
towards the same goal.
I feel like they all connect because in the end we're energy, and like energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So nonetheless, like we are in sync with like the universe and with whatever like higher being we believe in, whether it's like, God or something.
Yeah.
So I feel like that all in the end like connects to like this like soul that we have within our like, and what is spirituality to us. And
Mhm.
then yeah, yoga and meditation can incorporate, but I also like want people to like also think, it's also like athletic people who don't even do yoga but they do like other things, and that could also be seen as meditation or as like moving meditation, because everything, like whatever you do that feels good, like it's right for you, you know what I mean? If it feels good and it feels like it's in service for you, then you should do it.
Yeah, like if someone is not doing the meditation, the techniques of meditation, but yet he's self-aware, he has
Mm-hmm.
compassion in life, he has the pure love towards other beings, then I think he's at the perfect path, like on the perfect path, because it's not about the techniques. Like they are important for
Mm-hmm.
structure, but there is a possibility that there are people who might not be doing yoga or meditation, but yet they are really great human beings and they are more aware of about themselves. In a way, they
Yes.
are meditating, but not through the traditional techniques, but just uh,
In a different
just
way,
randomly.
which is
Yeah,
like okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
feel like in the end, like what matters more is like intention. Like
yeah,
why are
yeah,
you
yeah.
doing it in the first place? I feel like
True.
that like it helps a lot with what people are actually like what they are achieving in life. Like as long as
Mhm.
they have the right intention, then everything will go like fine.
Yeah, and I think meditation, yoga, all these are just tools towards that
Hmm.
fulfilling that right intention. Yeah,
Exactly. These are like resources and stuff that we can use to like
yeah.
make ourselves better. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
this great
you.
conversation.
Hopefully this went well.
Yeah,